Hello, my name is Alanis King, and I've now spent a week with this car right here, the Bentley Bentayga. The Bentayga ushered in a new era for ultra-luxury automakers. The big, smooth, ornate, and modern SUV. But this is more than just an SUV. It's a $300,000 sanctuary that's meant to be both driven and chauffeured. It has headlights that glisten like crystal glassware, airline seating that costs more than $11,000, and a 4-liter V8 that can rocket all of this girth from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 4.5 seconds. This vehicle is all about speed and serenity, and today we're going to learn all about it. But before we get to this Bentayga, I wanted to say thank you. We started uploading on this channel about 6 months ago, and because you all watch and support and comment and like these videos, we got our first sponsor. A few weeks ago, HomeField Apparel reached out and asked if they could sponsor not only my YouTube channel, but an upcoming podcast I have called 36 Questions. We'll put a link in the description of the video. HomeField Apparel is a vintage-style collegiate sports brand. They make all kinds of really cool apparel, but they're branching into motorsports this year. They're gonna do NASCAR lines and IndyCar lines and all kinds of stuff. And they gave me a promo code if y'all want to check out their stuff. It's Alanis24, and you can get 10% off your first order. I'm so excited. I've seen vintage motorsports apparel skyrocket in popularity recently, and it is so cool to see brands going all in on this for both historic drivers and modern drivers. I have seen the motorsports drops for HomeField, and they are so cool, and I cannot wait to wear them for you. And it's because of all of your support, so thank you so much. Again, that code is Alanis24, and it's 10% off your first order. Thank you, HomeField, and thank you, all of you. The Bentayga is Bentley's first and currently only SUV. It debuted in 2015 with Bentley's iconic 6-liter W12 engine, and it was a really early entrant to the modern ultra-luxury SUV market. It got its name from a giant rock formation on an island in Spain, and as a geology fanatic, I don't take that for granted. Throughout the 2010s, the car market took a sharp turn toward bigger, taller, and more spacious vehicles. Automakers discontinued their small cars and introduced loads of new crossovers and SUVs. And in a lot of industries, whatever the normal market does, the ultra-luxury market does as well. Just better and pricier. The ultra-luxury SUV market is massive these days, but back in 2015, it wasn't nearly as big. The top echelon of luxury SUVs, the Rolls-Royce Cullinan, Aston Martin DBX, Lamborghini Urus, and Mercedes-Maybach GLS, all debuted years after the Bentayga, giving it an early foothold in a market that will be vital for years to come. The original W12 Bentayga could go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 4 seconds, and there have been all kinds of Bentaygas since. The Bentayga Diesel, the Bentayga Mulliner, the Bentayga V8, the Bentayga Hybrid, the Bentayga Rock in the Spanish Canary Islands, the Bentayga Speed, which Bentley called the world's fastest SUV when it debuted in 2019, and more. This Bentley is from the 2023 model year, and it is called the Bentayga EWB Azure First Edition, because everybody knows the longer the name, the more luxurious the vehicle. EWB means extended wheelbase because we got a long boy right here, and Azure is Bentley's specification for extra cushiness. Bentley says Azure models are meant to promote the well-being of their occupants. Bentley said in 2022 that it would sell special first edition models like this one for the first 12 months of orders on this car.
And what is a first edition? Because it sounds more like a book than a car.
Well, that's a great question. A first edition is a $15,000 option with exclusive content for discerning customers. which basically just means it's $15,000 to say that you're cooler than everybody else. And if you want me to compliment you, I'll do it for less than $15,000. Call me, okay? This Bentayga makes 542 horsepower and 568 pound-feet of torque from a 4-liter twin-turbocharged V8. All of that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission to all-wheel drive and all-wheel steering. And that brings this car from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 4.5 and to a top speed of 180 miles per hour. The total price of this car is $299,510, including these $615 self-leveling wheel badges, which are my favorite option because it's kind of like having a fidget spinner on each wheel. This exterior color is called Dark Cashmere, and that windshield is heated, acoustic, and infrared. It's a $555 option, but it also makes this car incompatible with toll readers. Oops.
I bet that windshield, if you get a rock chip in it, it might cost a little more than $500 to replace.
You know, I'm gonna bet the same thing, hon. This rear privacy glass is a $1,300 option, and since we're all about privacy in this space, I figured I would get inside the car and scream and see if y'all can hear me. Now, this is the part where I awkwardly climb in, and we probably speed it up because it's awkward.
So the V8 Bentley Bentayga gets roughly 17 miles per gallon combined fuel economy. Do you think that's a deal breaker for cheapskates like me on this $300,000 SUV?
Well, cheapskates aren't buying this. The Urus gets 16 miles per gallon and the Rolls-Royce Cullinan gets 14. So it's actually not that bad, all things considered.
And what's the deal with the poofy headrest?
You know, they're a little bit of a jump scare when you first get in here because you're just not used to seeing poofy headrests. But this car has the $11,000, I think it's $11,100 airline seat package, which is meant to mimic airline seats for people who are on fancier airlines than me. But this airline seat package has all of these seat adjustments and posture adjustments and massaging seats and all kinds of things. So I have everything in my reach back here. I have window shades that go up and down with the touch of a button. I have a door close button that will close the door once I'm in the car. It's just meant to be very luxurious back here, and I think part of that is the poofiness. But people don't confuse this car with a private plane. They confuse it with another car maker, Rolls-Royce. Every time I'm in a Bentley, someone yells, "Is that a Rolls?" And the answer is a lot deeper than you'd think. Bentley and Rolls have had a complicated relationship over the years, but it all ended when the Volkswagen Group acquired Bentley and BMW took Rolls around the turn of the century. Since then, they've gone their own ways, but they haven't strayed too far from their roots. Bentley and Rolls have similar goals, which are treating wealthy people to a luxurious driving or riding experience. But they go about them in different ways. Rolls brags about the handcrafted simplicity of its car's interior and exterior styling, where there aren't tons of stitches in the leather, but every stitch is perfect. Bentley, on the other hand, prefers ornate abundance. There's diamond stitching everywhere, the headlights look like crystal glassware, and every inch of this car has a material or a pattern or a color that makes your eyes jump around. Both automakers want you to feel important, and they do that successfully, but they do so in different ways. And now, it's time to find out how. Welcome inside the Bentley Bentayga, and the first thing I noticed about this car when I got in it was the fact that it is not quite as cushy as the Bentley Continental GTC Speed. That's the only other Bentley I've driven so far, and that car is extremely squishy. You get in there and you sink into the seats and you could be in there forever. This car is actually more rigid and more serious and more commute to worky. than the Bentley Continental GTC Speed. I feel like the GTC Speed goes for the Grand Tour, and this goes for the commute. So this seat isn't quite as cushy. It's a little more stiff. It still has the seat massagers and everything, and it's wonderful. But this car does communicate a different goal than something like the GTC Speed, which is interesting because you think when you get into this price range that kind of the goal with everything is the same, to be cushy and comfortable and easy. But this car definitely has a different vibe. Something I find so funny about driving a car like this, the Bentley Bentayga, is that I have a $299,000 car on the good roads. So I'm out here on these curvy roads and I'm getting a back massage with a heated seat while I'm driving these roads. It's just such a funny thing to do, driving a car like this on a good road, because you want to have fun and you want to test it out and you want to take it on the curves. But it's not really meant for that. It's meant for laying back and relaxing, which is not what I'm doing right now. You really do feel when you're stopping this car, you feel its weight. You feel that this is a large car and that if you need to stop in a hurry, you are going to kind of jerk forward a little bit like that, because this is a 5,600 pound car. This is not light. It also has a pretty high center of gravity, or at least it feels like it does. Obviously, I don't have the exact numbers on that, but when I'm in this car, it's kind of billowy. It sways back and forth when I go through the corners, and when I stop, you can really feel yourself stopping. The steering is very light and the pedals are very light, but at the same time, you feel the weight of the car in how your body moves within it. Your body kind of sways back and forth as you go through these turns, and it leans forward when you stop. You know the size of this vehicle and you know what you're working with. You are not removed from that when you're driving the Bentayga. I think that's nice. Everybody needs a reminder of how large and heavy and consequential a vehicle is, because if you are so far removed from the act of driving that you think there's nothing to it, you will get yourself in trouble. Cars are big. Cars can have a lot of impact if you use them the wrong way or if you wreck them. And it's very important to know what you're behind the wheel of. There is almost no road noise or wind noise in this car. I'm on a very rough road right now and there's a little bit of noise, but really you are so insulated from what is below you. Now you can feel the road. I can definitely feel the road, and I like that. When I'm so far removed from the road, like in a Rolls-Royce, it's kind of just like you're on a magic carpet. It does feel a little weird, especially when you're on a road like this. You kind of want to be able to feel the bumps and the rumble strips and everything you need to feel on a road like this, because if you don't, it's just a little weird. The really interesting thing about modern luxury vehicles is just how peaceful they are inside and how removed from the road they are, because it's great for a long road trip and it's great when you're in the car for a long time. But it can be a little disorienting because you're going 70 miles an hour and it feels like you're doing nothing at all. All right, let's see how this accelerates. Ready? Wow. Wow, for how large this vehicle is, I mean, it won't make your stomach sink. It won't make your heart go into your throat. But for how large this vehicle is, the fact that it gets up and goes that quickly and also that quietly and that smoothly is incredible. Oh my goodness. When you have a chauffeur car like this that has so much power, yet you have to apply that power so smoothly so you don't disturb the people in the back, it really is shocking. I think overall, the Bentley Bentayga is an absolutely wonderful car. It's so comfortable. It is so perfect to just go on long drives in and commute in. I think if I were to sit in this car with a blindfold on and not drive it, of course, because I have a blindfold on, if I were to just sit in the seat without the massagers on, I don't know that I would be able to tell that this was a Bentley, just because this seat is just a little stiffer than I imagined it would be. Now, if I were to somehow be able to drive with a blindfold on, I would immediately know that I was in a very, very, very high price bracket. But the seat alone, I probably wouldn't, just the feel of it. And I think that's really kind of the main difference between a vehicle like this and maybe like a Rolls-Royce. When you get in a Rolls-Royce, the seat's a different shape. Everything just feels completely different. But are they worthy competitors? Yeah, because ultimately, if you want to save $200,000 and get a similar backseat experience, this is the car.
So now that we've driven the car, how does the Bentayga compare to its biggest rivals?
Well, I've only driven two of them, the Lamborghini Urus and the Rolls-Royce Cullinan. So let's start with the Cullinan. The Cullinan gets its name from another big rock, which is the Cullinan diamond, which is the largest diamond to ever be found. Its largest dimension is about 4 inches.
So the Cullinan and the Bentayga are technically competitors, but the Bentayga starts at $200,000 while the Cullinan starts at $400,000.
Yeah, you know, when you get in this price range, that's kind of what you end up with. Some cars are $200 and some cars are $400, but these cars can be optioned so high. So this Bentayga is $299,000, and I've driven a Cullinan that's $500,000. You have that base price and you can climb so high from there. But yes, those base prices are different and you get different vehicles because of that. The Bentayga feels more one with your driver, whether it's your uncle or your chauffeur. It feels like a way to cope with the stress of the world, whereas the Rolls feels like a way to completely remove yourself from it.
But your uncle drives a Prius.
Well, that's true, and he is so real for that. Hi! The only other Bentayga competitor that I've driven is the Lamborghini Urus Performante. And the Urus is not named after a rock. Lamborghinis are usually named after bulls, and the Urus is named after an extinct wild ox with long horns. Kind of like the longhorn on my shirt from HomeField Apparel. Okay, sorry, back to the Urus. That ox went extinct in 1627, and it is actually one of the first known and recorded cases of extinction. The Lamborghini Urus has a completely different goal than an SUV like the Bentayga. It's meant to be driven, and driven hard, kind of like an ox running away from extinction, and the inside looks like a fighter jet. It's a different vehicle. This car is meant to be driven and chauffeured in, and it's meant to be extremely relaxing. The Urus is meant to be showy and fun and cool. The Bentayga is glamorous. Is it Rolls-Royce glamorous? No, but it's also not Rolls-Royce expensive. It's just Bentley expensive. Bentleys are sanctuaries. Every time I have one, I make excuses to drive it long distances. With the massagers going and the seats reclined, it's truly an escape from the real world. But everyone has to return to the real world eventually, so welcome back. I hope you enjoyed talking about the Bentayga today, and as always, thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more videos like this, feel free to leave a comment, like this video, subscribe. Tell me what you want to see in the future and we will be sure to bring it to you. Until next time, bye!